T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What is up, everybody? Brian, hell of a first half there that you ended, huh?
Yeah, it was a little rough. Actually,
Oh, man,
it wasn't that rough, but this is not what I expected the game being. So,
man, everyone talking about the Brady hit like it was the worst thing ever, and then he literally strip sacks him and gets called for it. Oh my lord, that was
that was that was bad.
That was rough. My goodness. Well, welcome back to another rapid reaction show. So we have a lot to get to. You know the deal. So we're going to jump right into it. And the first one's going to be really quick and easy. Spend all your fab on Kenneth Walker if he's available in your league. I mean, it's going to be his job. Realistically, what do you think, Brian? Like 50, 60% more if you really need a running back?
Yeah, I think minimum 50 if you don't need a running back.
Mm-hmm.
But like Penny's out for the season. So,
yep.
And that offense has looked good. Like, I feel like that offense is kind of what I expected Russell Wilson to be in the Broncos, but
Yeah, I think it's actually doing well, and yeah, I like I'll leave your Broncos out of it, but yikes. But actually, to that point, if you don't have that much fab left, or you are a little bit nervous about spending that much on him, and you want to try to save it and spread it out later on, I also don't mind spending just a couple of bucks on DJ Dallas. If Pete doesn't fully believe and doesn't want to get him all the ball and allows DJ to catch some passes, you could probably get him for like $3, and it's a nice little cheap play. And if it works, it doesn't. If it does, all good.
Yeah, definitely someone to check after waivers run to see if he's available too. Yep. I apologize. I am coming off of being sick, so if my voice just goes in and out. But I'm going to try and get through this quickly. So next we have someone we talked about last week, and that was Kenny Pickett and George Pickens. And it looks like Pickens is Pickett's guy. He now has 12 targets through 6 quarters, which really like 5 quarters, because that fourth quarter didn't really happen with the Bills and Steelers. But I think Deontay is still the guy here. He's not catching a lot of his passes. He's doing all this toe tapping, and he has 15 targets for 7 receptions and 71 receiving yards. The big news is that no Steelers wide receiver has any touchdowns this season, which you have to think that regresses. And if I had to guess, it would happen with Deontay or George Pickens. And do not get caught up in this George Claypool 10 targets. 6 of them were in the fourth quarter, literally when both teams had given up. And like it was pretty much just the reserves playing. So
yeah, that was the clock is on, so we still have to keep going, even though we don't have to. We don't want to. Moving forward, so someone now with a nice little trend working is Alec Pierce in Indianapolis. So 2 weeks now with the increased usage, he had 9 targets yesterday, going 8 for 81. But for me, something that I really liked is like a very noticeable jump in offensive stats. So he played almost 60%, which jumped up from 45% the previous 2 weeks. So he's starting to get a lot more run in that offense and a lot more usage. Prior to the season, I'm an unabashed Pearce Campbell fan. I really wanted him to be a thing, and it's not looking great. I'm not sure. I mean, it's still not a great offense. Matt Ryan doesn't look all that good, but I don't know. Do you have Alec Pierce as like a priority ad? Is he a secondary guy? How do you look at that wide receiver 2 role in Indianapolis? Oh, you're muted.
I really like Alec Pierce. So man, sick brain. But I really like him. He has seen a steady jump in, like you said, in offensive snaps played and routes run every week. And now he's getting a good run that he can actually put up a good amount of fantasy points for you every week. And like we said, that offense isn't great. But Matt Ryan's going to need a safety valve to offload the ball to. And it looks like this last week, Alec Pierce was that guy. And Pittman is going to get all the attention. Pittman is a stud. So it looks like Alec Pierce is going to be the next guy he looks to often. If you need a wide receiver, I would be strongly looking at him. I wouldn't be throwing a ton of fab at it, but I think he definitely is worth trying to get on your team if he's available.
Yeah.
Next, I have listed the Jacksonville Jaguars receivers and the mystery of the cover 2 defense. So Trevor Lawrence had a meh game.
Not a great
and
game.
Not a great game. They lost to the Houston Texans. So through week 4, defenses had only run a cover 2 defense against the Jacksonville Jaguars 5 times. Week 5, the Texans ran it 70% of the time on 33 of Trevor Lawrence's 47 dropbacks. It confused the crap out of Trevor Lawrence. And pretty much it made Christian Kirk a non-factor in that game. Christian Kirk has been insane. He's been doing so well. But he just couldn't get the ball downfield to him. And this led to Evan Ingram having 8 targets. I remember I needed a few points from Christian Kirk, and watching the end of the game, they moved like Evan Ingram out wide and started having Christian Kirk block just because I don't think they knew what to do. It almost was like Urban Meyer was like coaching for this weekend or something. That team, the offense just like looked like they forgot how to football.
Yeah, that was bad.
But if teams do this going forward, because now everyone knows that Trevor Lawrence struggles against the cover 2. So Ingram has only 20% rostership on ESPN. So if you have a Kyle Pitts size hole in your roster, or Pat Freiermuth, if that injury is severe, I think Evan Ingram is worth it because I'm willing to bet Trevor Lawrence sees a lot more cover 2 from now on.
Yeah, it's one of the copycat league, right? And once the blueprint's out, it's out. And how does that happen, right? It's like cover 2 is not like some unknown, scary, like unique defense.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely just hysterical. I was watching the replays of the game, and he just checked it down to like either the middle of the field and had Evan Ingram jump and catch a fantastic ball thrown over the center, or just dumped it off to Zay Jones or Marvin Jones. So
yeah, insane. Next up is somebody near and dear to my heart, Jakobi Meyers. He's kind of one of these like mid-round, maybe a slightly later wide receiver that people don't love because he doesn't have the ceiling and you can't win without ceiling and blah, 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 blah. I just think he should be rostered way more. He's only 64% on ESPN, 62 on Sleeper, and 48% on Yahoo. That should all be significantly higher. He's the number 1 target, gets peppered with looks, ton of receptions. Like, he is a PPR machine. If he's your wide receiver 3, if you have a slightly larger flex position where you have 2 or 3 guys in a flex, like, he is a person that you can set it, forget it, get a good amount of points, and allow some of your other boom bust guys to take some heat off of it. Where, I think we'll talk about Mike Williams here in a minute. Mike Williams can go for 25, and the next week he's going to go for 5 points. Well, that steady production from Jakobi that you're going to get helps those 5-point games not hurt nearly as much. Obviously, like, the lack of touchdowns hurts Jakobi. He got one yesterday, but like, he's just going to be a steady producer, and he should be rostered in significantly more leagues, and especially played for a lot of those leagues too.
Yeah, the whole slander about him like not being able to catch touchdowns, I thought has always been ridiculous. I thought it was more funny than like actually something.
It's not his fault.
Yeah, that has to regress eventually, and it looks like it is. So.
Yeah.
Next, I have everyone's favorite wide receiver, Darius Slayton. So
I actually have a share of his still on in Dynasty. Don't know why.
He's the person you forgot that you had on your Dynasty roster.
Yeah.
So he had a target every 3 routes this last weekend. It had a 27% overall target share. There's no one else. There legitimately is no one else. The tight ends are getting a decent target share.
Yeah, Bellinger.
Yeah, so it's literally Darius Slayton, Saquon Barkley, and a bunch of tight ends. Because it looks like Richie James has regressed. He was looking really good for a few weeks, but that was just, it looks like it was a flash in the pan. Some dude named Marcus Johnson ran the most routes. Again, being dynasty players, I feel like I know everyone. And then Marcus Johnson runs the most routes for the New York Giants. So yeah, I think Darius Slayton is going to be like a high floor play every week that is not going to win you a matchup, but he's going to get you like I would expect like 5 receptions for 60 yards every week. I think just if he's getting a target on every 3 of his routes, he's going to see usage. And like I said, there is no one else in that receiving core. So
yeah, and Tony hurt his other leg rehabbing the one that is actually hurt. Like what a joke.
I mean, this is what happens when you trust a Gator. So
yeah, that's right. Next up, this is actually a really quick one. Just kind of a Brian Robinson appreciation shout out. Coming back, by the way, probably the best thing the Commanders organization has done in 25 years. Announcing him out with 50 Cent Many Men in the background. Like, I don't know who did that, but you get a raise. Fantastic. And then fantasy wise, he outrushed Antonio Gibson 9-3. Snap share there. Robinson's at 29%. Gibson is at 32%. So talking about like the priors that we thought was he was gonna take over right away. He comes back from getting shot in 6 weeks, and he's like, "Yep, okay, this is my job again." Like that's insane. So yeah, Brian Robinson, kudos to you. Good work. If you were an Antonio Gibson person, yeah, you had like 2 weeks to use him and try and trade him away, and now that opportunity is gone. So, lo siento.
Yeah, R.I.P. Antonio Gibson. It was a fun first few weeks of the season.
Yeah.
Next we have Mike Williams. So
here's our guy.
He has been insane without Keenan Allen, but there just hasn't been touchdowns. I mean, is he, like you said, he's the modern Jakobi Meyers. He has 24 targets in the last 2 weeks combined, 17 receptions for 254 yards, but 0 touchdowns.
Yeah, that hurts.
So he could have had some monster. He could have had a Taysom Hill-sized week, but he just isn't getting those touchdowns. I'm not afraid for when Keenan Allen comes back, but if you do want to sell high, I think this is an opportunity. But he is going to be that boom player that, he could get 30 points in a week and win you your matchup single-handedly. So I would be holding on to him, but if someone comes in with a monster offer, I'm not going to say no.
Yeah, and I think with me, I think when Keenan comes back, I think he just is that much of a target hog that Williams now cemented himself, I think. Though we did this last year in the first 4 or 5 weeks, so who knows? I think he just becomes a little bit more volatile. Where right now he is a 20-point shoe-in essentially. So someone actually we talked about on the quick hits again last week too. I feel like quick hits is just like our foreshadowing to the upcoming week. Rachaad White and then Fournette. So Fournette obviously had a great game. I think he had 11 targets. He did great. He finally had his boom game. But I'm still really liking what I'm seeing from Rachaad White's usage these past 2 weeks. And I kind of like how that might be trending for the rest of the season. Like the first 3 weeks, Fournette snap share of 76, 87, 91%, and White was just not there. But these past 2 weeks, it's been a 60-40 split between them. So White is getting more usage. He has 8 rush attempts, 9 targets. So he's about half of what Fournette's doing these past 2 weeks. But I think that's okay because he's just a rookie, and then he's the clear RB2 at this point. But, rookies historically perform better and play more as the year goes on. Fournette is not exactly the healthiest human being on earth when it comes to, staying in games and everything. So he's definitely someone I think just to keep that star on. If you really have a deep bench, maybe just stash him. And he's, kind of like the Alexander Madison, or Khalil Herbert. He's not going to do anything when Fournette's there, Dalvin Cook's there. But if they go down, automatic smash spot. So I really like what I'm seeing. We'll see, but I like it.
Yeah, if I'm 5-0, I'm trying to get Rachaad White. I'm not 5-0 in any of my leagues, But if I am, especially like redraft, like you said, if Fournette goes down, I think he could be a league winner. So
yeah.
Last, I have the Ravens pass defense. I just want to real quickly just put this in there because I know a lot of people when I'm looking through just people suggesting player props and like start sit questions, they'll mention how many passing yards the team has given up and stuff like that. The Ravens pass defense was historically horrific the first few weeks. Just they got slaughtered by the Dolphins and it was just ugly. The last 2 weeks, they have held both Josh Allen and Joe Burrow under 220 passing yards.
That's
something obviously like they've changed personnel and everything, so something's clicking. But they still rank last in the league in pass yards allowed per game. Don't let someone trick you into starting someone against them the next few weeks, just because of how horrible they were the first few weeks. So defenses change throughout the season. Some get better, some get worse. Don't have take lock, and don't automatically just play people against the Ravens pass defense anymore.
Yep, they are playing better. And even with, was it Williams that hurt his hand? I still think, right, they'll be okay.
Yeah.
So some quick hits, and I guess going to make them quick. Taekwon Thornton, first game back for the Patriots, ran 14 routes out of 22 dropbacks. He outran Parker, Algalore. So, right, for a rookie who's missed several weeks with that collarbone, coming back and getting immediate play is some really cool things to see. I think that might be more of a dynasty take than a redraft, to be honest, but I really like to see it, and I'm a Patriots fan, so I wanted something positive. Randall Cobb, why? That was unnecessary. That was supposed to be Alan Lazard or Aaron Jones or someone, but not
or
Randall
Dobbs.
Cobb.
Should have been Dobbs.
Yeah,
man,
just not Randall Cobb. Tevin Coleman making a play. So I think you actually wrote a note there that even Adam Schefter told people to pick him up last week. I would say that was a good call by Shefty. Shefty's he's in the know, but pretty impressive. I still think Jeff Wilson Jr. is a guy, but we know about San Francisco. All he needs is an opportunity, and if you're running back that has two working legs, you can do pretty well in that offense. So Jeff Wilson, another great stash. Gallup, still shockingly have time to pick him up. He's 50% Yahoo on ESPN, 60% on Sleeper. As soon as Dak comes back, Gallup absolutely to the moon. They're going to open it up, I think, and you have a very solid wide receiver 2 out there in like half of your leagues for no reason. Go pick him up. Also, along those same lines, I think I've said this about David Njoku for 3 weeks, and I'm going to keep saying it. Pick him up. The tight end position is a joke, and he is just continuously producing. That's it. Go pick him up.
Yep. Yeah,
what
he's
are you
good.
doing? Stop it. Lastly, I talked about Khalil Herbert with David Montgomery back. Montgomery's the top guy. Unfortunately, their offense is not good enough to support really 2 running backs. So you gotta have to hope for another Montgomery injury or something, or I don't know. But he clearly went back to his defined role as RB2. And a weird dynasty. This is probably more of a dynasty take, but Cade Otton in Tampa Bay. The last 3 games, 2, 4, and then 7 targets yesterday, and jumped from 49, 67 to 97% snap share this past Sunday. Pretty impressive bump for him. And again, rookie tight end may not mean too much, but it's pretty impressive to see. And again, if you want a tickler file, just put a star next to his name and see if he continues to produce another week or so, and then his rostership is like 0. So you got time. So with that said, our Robbie Anderson of the Week award. We had some pretty valiant people in this one. Debo, 9 targets, 2 receptions for 20 yards, but the touchdown saved him. I was also in there because I had Gabe Davis on my bench in my home league. That one cost me a game, so that's fun and exciting. But I think for this week, our Robbie Anderson of the Week award is Thursday Night Football. So between last week and the disgusting showing between the Colts and Brian's Broncos, that was just poke your eyes out. we are treated with an even better matchup this upcoming week with the Commanders versus the Bears. So RIP to all of us because we're all degenerates and we'll watch it anyways.
Yep.
But
it's
not going to be fun.
I was laughing out of pain being a Broncos fan watching that game. Just, my God.
Yeah, that was. And this week is going to be so much worse. It's going to be bad.
I don't know. I'm not sure it can get worse. I'm really not sure.
I wouldn't say that. All right, Brian.
Oh, good man.
Animal
Famous
fact.
words on this podcast with Robbie Anderson mentioned.
Yep. It can't get worse. It can.
It does. Our animal fact of the week. Giraffes only sleep 30 minutes a day.
What?
Yep.
How is that? I feel like you just...
Because it's really dangerous for them to lay down, and they don't sleep standing up. So.
And they can still function?
Yeah.
Wild. I guess sleep's on. Well, good for them. I sleep like 6 hours a day, so I guess that counts.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for following along. Brian, I hope you feel better. And we will see you here next week.
Yeah. Go Knowles, beat
Adios.
Clemson.